This is going to be an overview of my Chinese excavator. It's the AGT MX12R. I just took the decals off. I've done quite a bit to it. Got the quick hitch off Amazon. Just the mechanical. I used a little impact gun. 32-inch tilt bucket. I just got some cheap 1/4-inch quick connects. Next thing is gonna get a thumb, but one of the first mods I would recommend is, I don't know how y'all grease this grease port right here, but I 3D printed a plug because that is just an open void and dirt and whatever can just fall in this boom and never get out. So I plugged that and I ordered these greasable pins off of I'll link the website in the description, but they're just a little bit longer, the shoulder on them, which is a good thing because I 3D printed a spacer for it. But up here on this stick, as you can see, the shoulder sticks out quite a bit farther, so I put one in here. And that's also, it's pretty easy to get to, but I can just grease it right from the side now. This 32-inch bucket it just makes this so much more usable. I mean, the material you can move and just grading in general than this bucket, which it's like 2 of those. What else? I mean, as soon as I got it, I changed the oil, changed the hydraulic fluid. I got the motor brace. I had to have a local guy CNC cut those brackets out because this motor bolt spacing was different, and I just welded it up myself. I need to paint match it, but other than that, I put a hitch on the rear. I took this plate off, notched it out. It's all dirty, but I just welded it straight to this bottom plate. It's not in the way of anything. I can remove this weight. These are just a couple, probably 2-inch thick. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know how much exactly they weigh, but at least 150 pounds, 200 maybe. Just aesthetics. I had to put a hydraulic filter in there. And other than trying to fight to find a bunch of adapter fittings, I took the main return line, take this off, and I took that whole return line off, took it to my local hydraulic shop, and they cut it. I don't know if you can see which one, but I took that whole line off, marked it before I did to see where I wanted it to split, and they crimped and adapted the fittings to this filter housing, and then I just put it right back in. Because on this one, this is the hydraulic tank on the inside, and the fitting, I don't know if I can do it, there it is. Screws to the bottom, right there in the center of the screen. So that is how I would recommend doing it, rather than fighting a bunch of fittings, and that way you can put the filter wherever you want, and the hoses will be custom length. And I'm lazy. I was gonna make a mounting bracket, but I just zip tied it in a few places, and I mean it ain't going nowhere, so I'll probably just leave it like that. What else did I do? Oh, I put tie down points front and rear for hauling it, because really there's nowhere to tie it down stock. I mean, straight from the factory. And I also did some little tie points on the front of the blade. I built this cylinder protection. It's all dirty, but as you can see, it was originally just this flat plate and the bottom was still exposed. So I just extended it to meet the top of the blade. That way dirt isn't just gonna pack into that lower pivot point and just gum that all up. So it's removable. Just use, I think, 2.5-inch exhaust C-clamp or U-clamps. And it comes right off if you ever need to take it off or whatever. I can still get to that grease port, and then the bottom one, obviously. And I did add these braces. I don't even know where I got these, just random pieces of metal I had. But I just braced this front blade because I feel like it's a pretty good distance, because especially if you catch a rock on this side, I feel like it could easily just bend. So braced that on both sides. I feel like that should help if it was a problem. Other than that, I just keep the fluids changed, keep the oil changed, and I grease it every time I use it. And if I use it for an extended period of time or in some heavy mud or dirt, sand, I'll grease it midway through. But these are those adapters made. They're out of TPU. I mean, obviously a simple little design. This quick connect also came with these pins that are greasable from the side, which I wish all of them were greasable like that. I mean, these, like right here and right here, and obviously the top ain't bad to get to, but like that one, pretty easy, but still a little pain. That one was a pain in the rear. So I'd recommend buying these pins. And I'd also like the quick disconnect, so when you're digging real deep dirt, I mean, it's dirty right now, but it should help keep some of the muck off of this and wearing out that bushing. Other than that, let's see how many hours it's got on it. $40 hours so far. I changed and added this filter at 7 hours, and I haven't had one hiccup out of this machine. I mean, no leaks, no quirks. I mean, it just seems to work really well. What else? Oh, I took the bottom foot plate off, and I labeled these bearing, grease the swing table bearing, and then G for the gear, the outer gear. And I'll grease that ever so often uses, and just whenever I feel like that should need it. But other than that, I'd recommend these to any homeowner. They're worth their weight in gold. I know some people have little issues right away on them, but I mean, I guess I got lucky if so, because I haven't had a single issue. I extended these as well, went to Atwood's and matched the thread. I forget, it might be an M14, I'm not completely sure. But these handles are way down here, and it was hard to feather the tracks. Same with the blade. And then this used to be a foot control for the either thumb or the tilt bucket. I mean, it was either go or no go. It was hard to feather it. So I cut the foot off. And welded this rod to it, like this would be here, and you control it with that. But cut that off, welded this to it, That way I can, it's a little long, but it works fine, especially for fine adjustments on the tilt bucket. I 3D printed this. Same thing out of TPU. Tight fit. And then also 3D printed this out of TPU so it's not just hitting your knee or whatever. You can pop it right in there. Yeah, other than that, I'll probably change the hydraulic fluid here pretty soon. It's cheap insurance. I did throw a magnet on the bottom of the tank right there. That's where it feeds into the pump. And there's obviously a screen filter inside. But I'm also gonna, when I change it again, I'll make sure it's cleaned out, and I'll throw a couple more magnets, just like one over here, middle, and that side. And I chopped this foot thing off because I didn't like the body positioning of it, and it's over there. Yeah, I don't know, I know this isn't heavy equipment, but I like quote unquote heavy equipment working on them, and I did order some bearings for the front idlers, because I've seen people's go out, and these are just Amazon specials is what they are. I forget how much they were. They were probably $20 for 10 of these. But that's the size. And then it takes 2 seals per side, so I'll need to order some more, but 25 by 52 by 7, that looks like. Yeah. I just keep these for when that time does come, and like I said, I keep an eye on everything when I'm using it. Like I'll lift up the front and wiggle the idler back and forth, make sure the bearings are good, because I don't want to wreck it. And I didn't video it, but when I first got this, I took this idler out. And I don't know if you can see that. That's a piece of steel to take up. There was a pretty decent gap in this C-channel that slid in. And that's what a lot of people feel when they lift theirs up, but there's a wiggle. I think it's the bearing, but a lot of times it's this, just having too much space in there. And I don't know about for you, but this, when I cut off this area, this still was the perfect thickness to just tack on the bottom of that to space this and tighten that whole thing up. I still have it over here. Oh, yeah, right here. That was just the perfect thickness, and I just chopped it and took up that little space. This is the test piece. This local CNC guy, I gave him some measurements, told him what I wanted, drew this up, and it just so happened it was dead on the first cut. So that's what that is. We don't want to waste material and test it out on, that's 3/8, but so if someone has this MX12R, and I know a bunch of guys make brackets for these now, and they give them measurements, and mine didn't fit any of them. Let's see exactly what this is, because if any of y'all need this, pay for shipping, I'll send it out. I don't have any use for it.